Something has changed. And what's happened to us? We have hormonally changed. Our hormones have changed. Our habits have changed. Our environment has changed. Our food has changed. This is a new paradigm. This is not just about medication. This is about what we've done to ourselves. You may feel awful. You feel terrible. You get headaches. You get chills. You get mental fog, disorientation, sweating, anxiety, poor performance, irritability, and depression. I'm going to show you that some of these symptoms that you are having actually is because there is a subtle, very subtle onset of addiction. It is so insidious, you don't even know it's happening to you. You are addicted to food. Is it the type of food? Is it a component in the food? And are there substances in the food that cause an addiction? Or is it because the food has been converted into a product? There are foods that will addict you. There are components in the food that will addict you. And yes, it's a product. You are consuming products, not food. And because you're consuming a product, you become addicted to it. There's chemicals in it. There's substances in it. The formation of it has changed. The consistency of the food has changed. And hence, it's no longer real food. Why is processed food so bad? Processed foods cause high insulin levels. It causes weight gain. It causes metabolic syndrome, toxicity and inflammation in the body, intestinal dysbiosis. What does intestinal dysbiosis mean? The bacteria in your intestines, they change as a result of what's getting down there into the stomach and into the intestines. So because your bacteria change, you change. Because you are a symbiotic relationship between your physiology and the physiology of the bacteria. So perhaps they changing. As a result of their changes, can you get addicted? Yes, you can. Are there chemicals released by those bacteria that get released into your bloodstream and can affect your physiology? And the answer is a definite yes. And could addiction cause behavioral disorders? Of course it does. This is so important that in order for me to talk about maintaining your diet and changing your physiology and your biochemistry and your hormones, I got to talk about some addiction because I want to reverse my metabolic syndrome. I want to reverse diabetes. I want to reverse sleep apnea. I want to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, degenerative joint disease, dementia, and even some cancers. Because if we do not lose weight, if we do not metabolically get back to the way we need to be, we are in deep trouble. Losing weight is not the only goal. If we change your biochemistry and you change your metabolism, weight loss is going to happen. Because it's not a weight loss program. You're basically changing your physiology and you're changing your hormones, and weight loss is just a side effect of it. And automatically your weight goes to where it needs to go to. What changed it first was the biochemistry, the hormones, and your entire body's system changes. Then the weight loss happens. How do you define a processed food? This is so important. This is of utmost importance. We should be telling this to all the children who are watching. Processed foods, they are not found in nature. Not found in nature. So anything that's in a packet, a box, manufactured in a factory, that comes ready-made, that's a product. Are you going to continue to consume products? Because if you do, there's a good chance you're going to get addicted. Combination of substances that are not found in nature. For example, combination of fat and sugar. Name me one substance that's in nature that is fat plus sugar. Name one. There's not one substance that occurs in nature with that type of combination. These unnatural combinations cause an unnatural reaction in your body. The more refined the product is, the greater the release all of a sudden. So all flour, in my opinion, all flour should be avoided. Not only is the flour bad for you for this reason, but it stripped off everything, the endosperm. You took out the germ, you took out the outer bran, and you're left with that pure carbohydrate, and then you ground it way, way down. And that's what flour is. Flour is a survival food. It was made so that you extract all these things so that now it can last forever. So now you can put it in a sack and you can get it through winter, and you can actually survive through winter. It's a survival food, but now we use it every day. Every day we're addicted to this, and I'll show you how we're addicted to it. So, flour, chemicals added, salt, sugar, colorings, sweeteners. Sweeteners are addictive too. I'll show you. Sweeteners are addictive. You know people who are taking diet Cokes and they just, I got off my regular sodas, but now I'm on diet soda. So how much diet soda do you have? I have about 4 of them a day. I just go through the day with my diet sodas. You're addicted, because the same sweeteners, such as sucrose, get to the brain, to the dopamine centers, which will come to you in a second, but they stimulate the same place as sugar does. Processed oils. You all should go and look at some YouTubes on how processed oils are made, such as for any of these vegetable oils. They call them vegetable oils. There's not a single vegetable oil that comes from vegetable. In order to make them, they got to process so many seeds. And from the seeds, they're very high in omega-6, very high in omega-9, and these are pro-inflammatory. Not only are they pro-inflammatory, but they also are addictive. This is something else that nobody knows. If you see the processing of vegetable oil, I promise you, you will not consume vegetable oil anymore. Just go see how it's made. All the chemicals they use and everything and how it's created is terrible. And I think this is one of the main reasons, combined with a high carbohydrate processed food diet, that in India today, we have the highest incidence of coronary artery disease in the world. It's vegetable seed oils. And they need to change their diet today to go back to eating the oils that they used to eat before. Breads, chips, cookies, all pre-digested foods. So do these altered foods have a different metabolic process? And yes, they do. I already told you that real food has less insulin production, therefore less obesity, less diabetes, less addiction, and no unnatural combinations and additives, and they are nutrient-dense packaging. If I give you a proper piece of steak, nice one, grass-fed, I bet you if I give you this much, you won't be able to finish it. But if I give you a processed food, you'll keep eating. Half an hour later, you can keep eating. An hour later, you'll come back for more. You'll never be satisfied. You'll never be satisfied when you're eating processed foods. This was beautifully illustrated in a book. It's called The Dopamine Nation. And I encourage you all to go and read this book. It's fantastic. But it shows you how the constant dopamine hit that we are getting from constantly eating processed foods and all those calories is causing this dopamine center to become more and more less tolerant. So you need more and more stimulation, and you build up all these chemicals. Now what happens is, if you don't eat that, you got all these chemicals that are built up, which are the opposite of reward. You feel lousy, you feel depressed, you feel irritable, you can't concentrate on anything. Basically, you're paying the price of that you just had the reward. And why do you get all those rewards? 1, you ate the wrong foods. Number 2, you ate them too frequently. It's all to do with the brain and how the brain reacts to these things. Now, in a true addiction, what also happens is that there are electrical pathways in the brain that connect from one part of the brain to the other. So the dopamine center has rostral connections that go to the prefrontal cortex, for example. Now, if you're an addict, do you want to have a lot of insight? Does the body want you to have insight into your addiction? That, oh yeah, I'm an addict and I shouldn't be doing this and this is wrong and I'm feeling this. No, it doesn't want you. It wants to make you dumb. So what it does, it downregulates your prefrontal cortex. Whether you're taking cocaine, amphetamine, heroin, sugar, preservatives, all the same. Caffeine, all the same. They go to the same center. The brain doesn't know the difference. So the after effect is the same thing. You get that addictive effect. Frontal lobe function goes down. Your entire brain has actually truly changed. And this is the problem that I'm saying. The stress pathway, which is the opposite pathway of the reward, causes cortisol secretion. And it also causes other hormonal secretions as well. And it creates a stress pathway. Now, if you look around you, stress is ubiquitous. Everyone's stressed out. Now, I know that life is stressful, but I say to you that part of the stress response is also the food that you're eating. Now, this is another addiction scale. This is from the Yale Food Addiction, and you all can actually go on the internet and find this and answer these questions. And they're pretty much similar to questions that I've already been asking, but in more detail of how often do you find that you're constantly seeking food in the daytime? Do you feel fatigued, sluggish after you overeat? Go on the internet and look at the Yale Food Addiction Scale. Poor impulse control. You blame, shame, and deny. Of course you do. Which drug addict do you know, or gambler, or someone with other food addictions will plainly come out and admit everything? They're going to deny it. Of course, it's part and parcel of it. Sugar, salt, fats. Bad combination, right? Bad combination. Unnatural combination. Sugar affects dopamine levels, I already told you that. And what is our diet in the Western world made of but high sugar and high fat? That combination causes addiction because the fats cause addiction and then the sugar cause addiction. Cannabinoid like fatty acids. Where do they come from? Processed oils. Dairy and cheese. What's wrong with dairy and cheese? That's ice cream, sour cream, cream, cottage cheese, yogurt, and butter. They contain chemicals called casomorphins. They actually addict you. So you crave for the cheese. And how many people do you know who are actually, I have to have my cheese piece every day. I'm addicted to cheese. I love cheese. I can't live without eating cheese. I'm telling you, they're addicted. And that's because of that. These morphine-like molecules are found naturally in milk. Of course it's supposed to be in milk. Why? Because you want your baby to get addicted to you, so when the baby comes, he suckles longer, he's going to get more nutrition. A baby being addicted to milk is normal. We shouldn't be eating milk anyway. But you concentrate all those casomorphins in cheese. Cheese is the concentrate. Wheat, rye, spelt, barley, corn, bean flour, lentil flour. They're all the same thing. What's the common thing there? It's flour. Don't eat flour. They go to the same parts of the brain as all other drugs go to.